Hello everyone and welcome to another summon guide, and today we will be taking on Shiva 3-star. Now, it should be said that in the last video I got some comments about saying, well, you're using top tier damage dealers. Yeah, I am. To be fair, here's my reasoning. First of all, if you are able to manage these fights properly, then it really doesn't matter how much damage you are doing, so long as you can keep up the amount of damage you are doing for the entire fight. If you can manage these summons by proper setup, then really you can go at your own pace, because these summons won't be able to do anything to you. And that's really what I am interested in showing, that these fights are more about managing certain things rather than just blasting enemies down. Because if that's the case, get CG Hayu 7-star, get equipment for him, it will take a while, and you can just blast through everything up until Odin, which is really more of a trial. But anyway, let's talk about Shiva. First of all, in her fight, you need to have, of course, max 2-star Shiva, as well as the illusion stone needed to take on this fight. Now, clearing it gives you 5 gigasites that are blue. Clearing it within 5 turns gives you a 4-star summon ticket. Being able to summon Ifrit gets you a 5-star trust Moogle. And a party of 5 or less will give you 10 more gigasites. But I would say this to most people, don't worry so much about the gigasites. Really, you get more from Chocobo exploration, so it's never really worth doing the 5 party member. Instead, just focus on beating within 5 turns and summoning Ifrit. Now, of course, for my party, I am always very interested in showing off some really strong units, because I've worked so hard to get them. But really, any magic tank is good for this fight, so long as you can stack, and this is the most important thing, more importantly than spirit is ice resistance, since that's really all Shiva is ice damage. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Shiva is classed as a human too, so having human killer from Diablos 2-star is going to increase the amount of damage you can do to this girl. Other than that, she has 60 million HP and approximately 100,000 MP. She's weak to fire, she is immune to all status effects, and she cannot be broken for defense or magic, but she can be broken for spirit and attack. So, really, the thing about this fight that is so important is keeping her attack broken, as well as having a magic tank that can basically mop up all of the ice damage. Because, and this is important, Shiva has a lot of AoE ice damage that's magic, and that's the biggest threat in this fight. She has a 700% AoE ice magic damage attack. She also has a 1200% AoE ice magic attack on her thresholds, and this ice magic attack is the big dangerous thing, because it will also debuff your entire team ice resistance for 3 turns of 150%. So even, for instance, my tank at 220%, which I could push him a little bit better if I just got rid of some of these and put more ice resistance on. But honestly, so long as you can maintain 100% ice resistance on your magic tank throughout this entire battle, you should be fine. So, with that in said, Shiva can also do silence, and she can drain MP, and MP is a bit more of a problem. But in the 7-star meta, and with the newer units that are coming out, there are more units that can regen MP. I believe there are even some 3-stars who can do it, so it's not the worst thing in the world if you get MP drained, although do realize it's there. So as you notice, our tank only has 220% ice resistance. You may be wondering why. How are we going to cover the rest? Well, any elemental buffer can do the job. Whether it's Marie or, well, actually Marie would be just fine. She gives 70%, but CG Fina gives 40%, so through one of her abilities, which is basically what we are going to be using to get the extra percentage we need so that Shiva won't be doing much at all. Or really anything. Also, we have Ignis too, who through his mix ability can give us, our party, some extra elemental resistance, but really, our magic tank is going to be taking everything. Now, to take a look at what he has equipped, of course, one of the more later events, which you should have, and for anyone watching this video in the future, sorry. But the Final Fantasy VII ring does have a 30% extra to ice resistance, as well as there is a standard ring in the game that has a 15% ice resistance. We have the crown that gives 5% from the Esper trial. I didn't mean to click that. We have Rain Sword, which gives him just some extra HP, and I have enhanced it as well as the basic Ice Shield, which this is fairly easy to get and gives 50% to ice resistance, so very good. And our armor has an extra 10% on it. From there, we're just keeping Rain basically the same as I've had him before. Now, the only other thing that Shiva can do is regular physical attacks and a 500% AoE physical attack, debuffing defense and spirit AoE for 3 turns of 50%. This is a little bit scary on the defense side, so this is why I am bringing Lid, because Lid is going to keep Shiva's attack debuffed. We're not so worried about our magic, that's why we have a magic tank. We also have 2 CG Hayus here for damage and Ignis for buffing, and Ignis has the ability to resist debuffing. But really, so long as you can buff your defense with someone, her physical attacks shouldn't be that bad, especially if you have them debuff. Remember, debuffing the enemy is always more important. And, of course, for Dispel, CG Hayu and CG Fina have it in case Shiva does do anything extra mean, which, no, she doesn't really have. But for your choices for extra ice resistance, you have Garnet, Yuna, CG Fina, Marie, Riku, Cloud of Darkness, and anyone who can get Bar Blizzara. So there are plenty of choices out there. Now, someone asked for suggestions of damage dealers that you could possibly get. Well, to be fair, there are plenty of damage dealers. In the 6-star range even, you'd be totally fine in this fight. But I do like to show off just a little bit. I have put a lot of work into this game. But more recently, of the damage dealers that you can do, because I'm assuming you can at least get a 4-star, Barret is probably a really absolutely solid chainer to bring in. Mine are not maxed, but really he can be set up with a single weapon status, and he has a decent chaining with himself. 4 stars are easier to get. But if you do have any 6 stars, any 6-star damage dealer, or more importantly mage with fire magic, should be able to easily do this, such as Victoria, who has powerful fire magic, or if you're lucky enough to have Transterra, 7-star or 6-star, very powerful mage with fire magic. Anyone with fire magic, given Shiva's weakness to fire magic, should be able to fairly do enough damage that you'll be fairly fine. The only other things that you really have to watch out for, and you may want to put Mankiller on, but we're not going to do that because it's CG Hayu. The only other thing that's really important here is that Shiva does have conditional triggers at 80, 60, and 40%, where she hits with a 1200% AoE ice magic damage that debuffs your team 150% for 3 turns. Now, there is one other option you can use on your team when she ice debuffs you, which is you can use Bushido from the excuse me, Gilgamesh trial just on any weak unit and target your own party, removing the AoE ice debuff. At that rate, you can pretty much keep the fight really easily under control. And the last problem is MP. Make sure you bring someone for MP, or just use some elixirs on any unit who really needs it. So, let's do this. Now, Shiva is still a fairly easy fight. She does not have any cheap early shots against your party, and she is fairly manageable. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure, and this is the important thing, ensure that you put your coverage on the party. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to debuff her attack, and really, since we have Lid, let's just totally debuff her. As you can see, here are her stats. Nothing really that scary. Now we will buff with our Ignis, as well as put some MP regen on the party. And use CG Fina for her elemental buffing. And we'll just put these two in defense position for now. So as you can see, fairly not too bad about anything there. We did get hit with a, I believe that was her physical attack, because otherwise our rain should have jumped in. Now, the other thing that's nice about rain is we can just put status protection on the party, even though silence is the only thing. And if you're bringing mages, most mages are fairly silence proof. If you are worried about anyone dying, then you can always just use a healer to put auto revive on some people, and you should be fine. The other option is, of course, bring a physical tank. If you can stack enough ice protection on the rest of your party, then you can just bring a physical dodge tank and probably be totally okay. So we'll get Ignis to mix since we have some downtime, and we'll just let CG Hayu hit. Now here comes her big ice attack. She's using some regular physical attacks on us. Nothing that we need to be worried about. And now we will try and trigger her big ice damage attack. So we'll first do this. Put some damage resistance on, because why not? Keeping her broken for attack is one of the more important things, because that's really the only thing we have to be worried about her, is her doing any kind of physical damage. So let's debuff her for fire for no other reason than we can. And this could do more damage than I want, but we'll see. Alright, so we've hit her first trigger, so she is going to hit us quite hard, but because of our setup, we should be just fine. But if you are feeling super nervous, then just throw some auto revive on. She also does heal herself, but her heal really isn't that scary. So we'll double up on elemental protection, and then we will throw on some MP as well. Now, again, as you can see, she has her most of her stats back, but because we have kept her broken, she's not super scary. Now, of course, if you do go into this fight, and just to prove that we can't defense debuff her. See? Can't defense debuff her. But going into this fight, dealing fire damage will make it much quicker than it actually is right now. Now, Awakened Rain, because we have the elemental buffs on our party, even though we've been debuffed, our Gaish is perfectly fine and comfortable and safe. We're just going to push her straight to the limit, because we want to show off a few other things. We'll also throw on auto revive on everyone. Everyone gets auto revive, and you get auto revive. So you can see, even her big attack and her healing is just prolonging the inevitable. Once we, even without me getting the total amount of ice resistance that I could in theory get, with just an extra percent buffing from any unit with, and technically I could have better than what I do have, this fight is very, very manageable. So long as you just remember, keep her attack debuffed and have a magic tank with enough ice AoE cover, Mystere is a very good option. But because I'm also paranoid about losing this fight in this recording, we're going to keep that elemental buffing going because we're not under any pressure right now. But I also want to see if we can summon Ifrit here. I'm not super worried about it for this recording, but here you go. Alright, so this is the turn when once she gets below 40%, she will use that 700% AoE ice magic. Again, we're not scared. We're not scared. We are totally ready for this. We're just casting this multiple times. So long as you can outpace her healing, which you should be able to do. So let us try and get that nice Ifrit summon on her and just make her really mad. Also, CG Hayu has been silenced. It is a shame. Well, we're going to use Lid's Limit Burst then. Alright, so next turn we can basically win this fight. So we're going to put fire on both of our CG Hayus because why not have just a little bit of fun? There's her physical attack, but again, because she's been debuffed, she's really not that scary. Her physical attacks just don't do that much, and even if, they still wouldn't be doing that much regularly. So, now all there is to do is finish the fight, which really easy. Of course, it would be a little more flashy if we had CG Hayu's Limit Burst ready. But there you go. And that's all there is to it. As with any of the early summons, the big deal is just being able to stack enough ice damage on a magic tank. And really, it's just the type. Now, of course, it can take some time to get this magic resistance. It's not like you can it just falls out of a tree and there you go, you got it. No, you have to work and will probably take some time to get all the things you need. But if you just use the resources that are on Reddit to find some of the equipment, anything with ice resistance, stick it on your magic tank. Even if you have to equip a shield on Mystere, it is totally worth it to get these things done. And then other than that, it's just beating Shiva. Just beat her up. And I'm sure that you guys have at least some nice 7 stars. Or at least some really pretty 6 stars. So that is all for this video. In the next video, we will be going after Ramu, the Thunder God, and almost getting done the first set of islands. I do apologize a little bit for these video guides taking quite so long to get up, but on the other hand, I'm kind of busy. So yes, I will see you all in the next video. Until then, best of luck. You guys can definitely get it done. See you next time.